Hi Niklas, welcome to Berlin. First question for you is, how do you decide what to invest in at Atomico?
So we're trying to find entrepreneurs who we believe in. So that is very, very important with the founders, that they have the right drive and ambition and stamina. But we're also trying to find companies which are, on a good way to become a winner in a category. And specifically in the mature markets like Europe and Americas, North America, we're trying to find companies which have potential to become an international leader. So we would stay away from these companies who are doing a copycat in one market.
And you've joined the European Commission's Leaders Club. Can you tell us why you agreed to do that?
Well, you get asked for something like that, and I think that's of course something that I'm happy to help. And so Nelly Cruz, she wants to create some kind of platform for encouraging more people to be entrepreneurs. And one thing that we want to do is to maybe work up a list of things that we think should be changed. And for me, I think there are a few things that you need to do to make it easier for startup companies. That's about employment law. And I think that startup companies have it's very, very critical for them when they hire a few people in the beginning. And so you need to be able to hire people without too much bureaucracy. And also, if the people doesn't fit in, it should be easy to eject people. And that will encourage startup companies to hire more people. That's one thing. I think you also need to encourage investments in these startup companies. And you also need to make sure that employees, when they get stock options, that's taxed in a very efficient way, because that's a way to encourage people to come and work with these companies instead of staying with large banks or large consulting firms or large corporations. So those are a few things, and of course, but then it's also very much about role models and just encouraging students and so forth. But the thing that the politicians can do is really about regulation, making it easier to start companies. And if you have a company that it doesn't work out, if it fails, that you shouldn't be punished in any way. So it should be easy for you to start another company.
What's a tough decision that you made at Skype that you're particularly proud of?
I think there's a lot of tough decisions that you have to do as an entrepreneur and as a CEO. But I think the toughest decisions were really, in the beginning, to continue and not make the decision to quit. And we had so many challenges in the early days. We could not raise money, and it was just hard to get started. And just to persevere and to keep going, that decision to just let's not give up. That's probably the decision I was proudest of.
What about a decision that you're embarrassed about now or that you regret?
I'm not sure. I'm trying to try to forget them, but I can tell you that I made a lot of very bad decisions along the way, and that's part of an entrepreneur, not to be too afraid of making decisions, because you do make decisions as an entrepreneur with very little data. So some of them will be wrong, and then it's about realizing that okay, this was the wrong way. And put your hand up and say, I was wrong here. Let's do a course correction.
Can you remember post-Skype, sort of the moment that you decided to get more into philanthropic work, set up the foundation?
Yeah. Well, for me, it was an obvious thing for my wife and myself to set up our foundation after we sold Skype, for a few reasons. One, of course, that I had the opportunity because I had a lot of capital, and it was natural to do something that is something that to help do right, do good things in the society. And whether you have small means or big means. But for me, it was also something I got very passionate about myself, and that was our environment. And I had an opportunity to see Al Gore's presentation live, and I went up to him afterwards like, okay, this is of course much more important than all this business I'm doing, so how can I help? And well, he basically told me, well, you have to figure it out yourself, to what you want, how you want to get involved. So that was something I was been very keen about it. Unfortunately, we are emitting more and more carbon dioxide into the air, and we're not heading the right direction. The cold spring we've had this year is because of global warming. And the other big project that we focus on now is the Baltic Sea. I've been growing up sailing and swimming and fishing, and I still love, the Baltic Sea in the summer, and it's one of the most dead seas we have. So for me, it's an obvious thing. I'm very passionate about it.